Happy Saturday and welcome back.
What's up?
So last week we talked about the Gateway Project, right? Not last week, last video we talked about Gateway Project. This time it's kind of a continuation, sort of, more government stuff. We're going to talk about the Gateway Program, or I'm sorry, GATE Program, right? Because on the surface it seemed fine, but it got weird, okay? If you were a kid in the 80s or the 90s and you were in something called the GATE program, this one may hit home. You might even start remembering things you haven't thought about in years.
Right.
My rat just yelled at me.
So, first, let's get into the facts. GATE stands for Gifted and Talented Education. It was a real government-backed school program in the U.S. created to help academically advanced kids thrive. If you tested well, showed a high IQ, or just seemed to be ahead of the curve, you might have been selected. You probably got pulled out of regular classes and placed into a separate room with a few other kids and given special assignments, like enrichment stuff, harmless, right?
I'm sorry, my rat just bit my earring. And in the past few years, people who were in the GATE program started comparing notes online. And the stories are a bit creepy. Like, a lot of people remember being taken into small rooms for strange tests, pattern recognition, memory games, even like weird image exposure exercises. Some say they were shown flashing lights or unsettling videos. Others talk about the interviews that felt more like interrogations than classwork. Sorry, he gets a little
excited.
Yeah. Some have even reported nosebleeds, sleep paralysis, memory gaps, or the feelings of being watched. And here's where it turns into like full-on conspiracy. Some people believe that the GATE program was actually a front used by the government to identify kids with psychic potential, heightened awareness, or susceptibility to mind control experiments. Think like MK Ultra, but like sneakier, because it's on kids.
Right, yeah, that's messed up. So
He's very hyper right now.
basically on a lot of these platforms like TikTok or Reddit or YouTube, people are started coming out and talking about their experiences. A lot of them are identical, and they're not saying, oh, I was in gifted classes. They're saying, oh, why do I remember these things that nobody else talks about, you know? Things like being pulled out of class for mysterious reasons, being tested over and over on abilities that had nothing to do with regular school, feeling like they were being watched or groomed for something bigger. And when they ask their parents or teachers, nobody remembers it in the same way. So I'd like to go back and ask some of the teachers why this happened, or like that remember doing it, you know?
Yeah. So, was it just a school program for smart kids? Maybe. Or was it like a screening tool, a recruitment like filter for black budget programs? A way to track kids who might be different in ways the government found interesting, which is scary. Simply put, we don't know for sure, but the number of eerie similar stories popping up is like hard to ignore, you know?
If you were in the GATE program, do you remember anything weird? Let us know in the comments. I want to hear your story because we remember stuff too. What was your experience with the GATE program?
I was in first grade and they wanted to test me because I was gifted. And I called my mom about it because when I heard gifted and talented education, like I remembered that, and I called my mom about it, like, do you remember this thing? And she does. She did. And I had a conversation with her about when I was being tested, and my aunt was in the room, and my aunt and I were also talking about it because she was talking about how some places felt like the testing that they were doing was like demonic, and super like evangelical Christian schools, like in those type of areas, weren't allowing it.
Yeah, because it was had to do with psychic abilities, some of it, I think.
Right.
So,
but I got taken in to do testing, and I very specifically remember the pattern recognition part of it, because like you knew me when I was little, I was very like la 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 in my own little world. So I thought the pattern recognition testing was fun. So she'd come in, she'd set this little egg timer, and she'd put the papers in front of me and a pencil, and she would leave the room. It was this huge conference room, and I was in there alone, this little first grader, and taking my little pattern. And I remember, like, I also have ADHD, and I'm watching the egg timer and being like, oh, I'm almost out of time, I have to hurry, and like really trying to lock in and do a good job. And at other times, there was one point where she was showing me like those Rorschach pictures, you know, like, do you see the moth or whatever, with a strobe light going in the room. And then she'd switch the picture out, and like I'd have to tell her what I saw with the strobe light. And it was very strange.
Right, yeah. So I remember being brought out of class for a hearing test, and it was like tones I was listening to. It was really weird. And later on, I heard on the internet that was like the Monroe Institute like stuff, like the tones that you listen to for that. And I remember having the same test, the Rorschach, how you say it, or
That's how I say it.
yeah, the pictures that are squiggly.
And not squiggly, it's ink blots.
I don't remember what I said about them, but I was never gifted. I don't know why they gave me that. And then after, I did hear a teacher say we shouldn't be doing this to the kids, and I didn't understand like what was going on.
That's weird.
And later on in the school week, I was put inside the disabled kids classroom.
Not by yourself though.
Yeah, by myself. Like, there was other disabled kids in there though, but it was like weird. They like stuck me in there for a week. Like,
I thought you said before that there was like a couple other kids that also like got selected to do that.
yeah, there was. Yeah, I don't think I was in there at the same time. I know they got sent to the same classroom though.
It was just like some kind of experiment. Like,
yeah, it was odd. It was very odd. So, like I said, let us know if you have any of these experiences and what it was all about.
The other thing I was going to add to that too is they specifically sent home test results to my mom telling her that I was gifted. And then they held me back in the first grade.
Very odd. So it was just about your psychic abilities.
I guess.
I think that's what it's about. Like, they're looking for kids with psychic abilities. Like, the Russians probably were like ahead of us on that or something. And they're like, we got to find kids with psychic abilities.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like meant to like follow those kids and see where they go.
Right.
Or what. It's weird. It's
for
weird.
remote viewing or whatever evil government things.
Because that's right around the time they were also doing the Gateway project.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just let us know. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to see our next video, hit the bell. Don't miss out.
Yeah, if you want to see what comes out next, I think we've been kind of sticking with this kind of series almost on these governmental things. So yeah, definitely hit the bell if you want to be notified.
All right, have a great day.
Until next time,
Bye.
question everything.